So here we are on the Grapevine and going to Bakersfield Museum of Art, where I currently have my show, Illuminated Earth. Roads like this, I love driving out kind of through these mountains. It really reminds me of so many road trips from when I was a kid. Going with my family, we would go all around to the national parks. And the first road trip I ever remember, we lived in Minnesota and we used to go to South Dakota, the Badlands National Park. And that was where I really, my love of geology and kind of jagged peaks began. So that became a huge influence on my work. We're here at my exhibition, Illuminated Earth, at the Bakersfield Museum of Art. And illumination, it marks the bringing of light, thought of as a spiritual enlightenment. For me, the subjects of these paintings, it is really about connecting with nature on a very deep level. Light is featured in the work as symbolic of the emotions within the paintings. This body of work, even though these landscapes, many aspects of them are universal, I really find that it's important to paint about places that I've been to. And in a way, I feel like this exhibition is almost a mapping of my personal journey and these geologic sites that I've visited over the years and revisited. It's this idea of fully immersing yourself in the landscape, being in the quiet, seeing what emerges from that, and kind of a new perspective. And again, it goes back to this idea of mapping these different connections between the places. This is the centerpiece of the exhibition, Mojave Pyramidion. It's a wooden pyramid coated with automotive vinyl, which I got really inspired by watching cars actually drive by with this material. And again, kind of goes back to a lot of this inspiration coming from out on the road and driving through these landscapes. It's a special coating that changes color as you walk around the piece. And I wanted it to be this kind of interactive work where the viewer could not only see themselves with the paintings, but also envision themselves within the landscapes that I'm painting, and also see their own reflection and meditate on the idea of their own personal connections with nature. This is my piece, Light of Vesuvio, which was inspired by Mount Vesuvius, a volcano right near Naples, Italy. And I did a residency there in 2019, where my studio was in view of this volcano. During my residency, I actually walked up, this is a hiking trail that you take around the caldera, and it was truly an inspiring experience. This piece is very much about Naples, the connection, kind of the people to this volcanic landscape and the amazing history there, where archaeology and geology are intertwined. This piece was inspired by one of my last visits to Kilauea volcano on the Big Island of Hawaii. And when I was there, there was an amazing eruption happening inside the caldera, the lava lake. One night I was gonna hike out to the caldera to get a closer view of the lava, and there was actually a thunderstorm in the distance. So this piece directly references that experience. And later in that trip, I made a couple hikes out to the lava. This is a very special place for me and my work. I've visited 6 times now during different eruption phases, Kilauea has been a really big influence of my work. This piece, Volcanic Highway, was inspired. I took a road trip up to Lassen Volcanic National Park, and Lassen Volcanic is actually the site of the most recent volcanic eruption in California. So I had always wanted to visit there. This is the volcano that erupted around 1914. Through the park, there's this amazing highway with these views of the volcano. These lenticular clouds tend to form kind of around these pointed peaks. The dynamic nature of this landscape that is in Northern California. This is a special piece. It was the first painting that I completed during my residency just outside of Joshua Tree National Park at Boxo Projects. And I did this residency in 2021, and this was really kind of the beginning of this whole series that's here at Illuminated Earth. It really began in Joshua Tree. The influence of the rocks and the landscape, and also this process of making small pyramid sculptures that were mirror plexiglass and actually carrying them into the landscape with me, which I had already been painting the pyramids, kind of emerging from cracks in the earth as this representation of something new and powerful. And so I took that idea into the 3 dimension of bringing an actual pyramid with me into the landscape. And this was a gold pyramid, and I placed it in front of this cholla cactus tree. This experience of physically taking the pyramids around into the landscape with me, it gave me a new perspective on these landscapes, inspired the geometric forms that you see in many of the works here in the show. This piece, Mauna Loa Awakens, this was inspired by the recent eruption of Mauna Loa volcano on the Big Island of Hawaii. It was a really special moment because both Mauna Loa and Kilauea were erupting simultaneously, which hadn't happened in many years. When I can't physically be at the volcanoes that inspire my work and that are currently erupting, I watch the USGS video cams of these calderas, and I was watching the night that Mauna Loa was erupting, and this image came to me, the black pyramid emerging from the lava. This piece really represents kind of an overarching theme of not only this show, but of my work, which is leaving the viewer suspended in this space of mystery. These paintings, I really want the viewer to feel that sense of mystery and curiosity, which kind of reminds me of, when I was a kid, seeing these places for the first time, on these family road trips, and just feeling that excitement, but again, being able to contemplate and stay in this space of mysterious nature. This piece is called Ocean Emergence. Even though it's an imagined landscape, it was really inspired by my many experiences on the Big Island of Hawaii, witnessing lava meeting the ocean, contemplating this idea of volcanoes creating new land, how Hawaii was created. It's a deep underwater volcano that's emerged. So it's this overarching idea of destruction, creation, and again, this idea of new land emerging. The black pyramid for me, again, represents this cycle of the volcano and the black lava that again becomes the land of the island. I had this vision when I was in Hawaii of this black pyramid emerging from beneath the waves and kind of this chaotic ocean and being this kind of powerful new emergence. This idea of illumination.